Hello and welcome to our live stream regarding the topic of single pair Ethernet here on our innovation stage at the SPS 2025. My name is Verena Neuhaus. I'm a product manager for data connectors, and I'm not alone here today.
Hello, also from my side. My name is Tim Kindermann. I'm working at Phoenix Contact as a senior specialist for single pair Ethernet, and we are very happy to show you the latest updates on the single pair Ethernet technology, on connectors, but also showing you the benefits of single pair Ethernet, giving you some applications for single pair Ethernet, and we will start just right now with the presentation and with the benefits for our technology.
Yeah, right. So what are exactly the benefits? And we picked out 6 of them. I think there are many, many more. But first of all, it's the IIoT, and SPE is designed for the IIoT. So every device is getting more and more intelligent. They have a data interface. They want to communicate to each other with the target of efficient processes to save energy, to save resources. And this is the reason why SPE really is a key for the IIoT.
The next benefit that we have is miniaturization. And miniaturization is a very important point, because with miniaturization, on the one hand, we can increase the size of devices, and on the other hand, increase the packaging density on a device. And a very good example is our SPE switch, which we have here. As you can see, you have the RJ45 ports, and directly compared with that, we have the SPE ports. So we can integrate on this small device 8 single pair Ethernet ports, whereas on the same size we have the space for 4 RJ45 ports, and that's a very important topic when single pair Ethernet comes into play.
The next benefit, of course, is consistency, and in my point of view, it's the most important one. So with single pair Ethernet, it's possible to have a consistent communication protocol from the sensor to the cloud. So if you have the automation pyramid in mind, at the field level, you always use field bus systems at these times. And with single pair Ethernet, it's also possible to get the Ethernet protocol also to the field level, to the lowest level with sensors, actuators, and also field devices. And therefore, you don't need any gateways, and that, of course, saves also cost and gets it more easy to implement also the infrastructure of IoT networks.
Another benefit is the distance. With single pair Ethernet, it's possible to create a communication with 1 kilometer length point to point. And compared to classical Ethernet systems, it's 10 times length. So with normal classical standard Ethernet, you have the limitation of 100 meter. With single pair Ethernet 10-base-T1L, which means 10 megabits per second, you have the possibility to increase this length to 1 kilometer.
Next one is reduced cabling. That's very obviously because you have only 1 twisted pair instead of 4 twisted pairs, and therefore that, of course, saves time in the field assembly, for example, but that saves also cost and resources.
And last but not least, we have power over data line, which means you can transmit power over the same conductor pair as you transmit the data. And it's possible to transmit data up to 52 watts, so you can power up small devices like switches, PCs, and also sensors and actuators with single pair Ethernet over 1 single twisted pair. And when we talk about single pair Ethernet, mostly we at Phoenix Contact consider the use case of factory automation. And for factory automation, when it comes to power, 52 watts, it's not sufficient for all of the applications, especially when we are talking about robotics, for example, and actuators. Therefore, we have invented the SPE M12 hybrid connector, which means you can transmit power and data over 1 single connector in M12 style. And the benefit that you have with single pair Ethernet is that it supports real-time communication up to 1 gigabit per second. You have a small connector design with the M12 where you can transmit 60 volts with 8 amps. So you can power up robotics, which have a power, which needs power up to 1 kilowatts, for example, and you save space and also weight, which is very good in meanings of greater flexibility and also is positive when it comes to torsion, for example. So that type of product is perfectly suited for factory automation.
Yeah, second use case is process automation. And when we are talking about process automation, we have extended requirements regarding explosion protection and also intrinsic safety. And maybe you have also already heard of the topic of APL. That means Advanced Physical Layer. And that is a type of single-pair Ethernet based on the CG standard, so on the 10-base T1L standard, for a length of 1,000 meters and a data transmission of up to 10 megabit per second. And nowadays, often hard via 4 to 20 milliamps, or also field Profibus PA bus systems are used in process automation, and there you have a limited data rate. With hard, it's only 1.2 kilobit per second, and with Profibus PA, it's about 31.25 kilobit per second. And with APL, you have the possibility to transmit via the same infrastructure. So in brownfield applications, you have the possibility to reuse the existing cabling infrastructure, and then you have the possibility to transmit 10 megabit per second. And that's an enormous benefit for process automation. We, as Phoenix Contact, offer suitable connection technology here. It's not always a new SPE connector. Sometimes it's also possible to transmit these data rates of up to 10 megabit via those standard terminal blocks here. And if you are interested also in our active components, then take the possibility, visit our booth over there for single-pair Ethernet, and see also our application, so our APL switch. This is based on the 10-base T1L standard, as I already mentioned, and this is an enormous use case for single-pair Ethernet.
Yeah, the next use case that we have is building automation. And in building automation, you have several different types of field bus systems. For the lighting, for the HVAC, for example, and therefore, many different bus systems are used, like BACnet, like Modbus, like KNX, for example. And also there, it definitely makes sense to use single-pair Ethernet, because you can use different IEEE standards, multi-drop standards, point-to-point standard, different lengths, and also different transmission rates. And also a very nice application that we have is that we are working together with the Othercom organization, and the Othercom organization is an association of HVAC and refrigeration manufacturers. And they are looking for a new communication standard in the refrigeration market, for example, in supermarkets where you have many freezers in a line which are communicating at the moment via Modbus RTU, which is really out of time nowadays. And with single-pair Ethernet, you have the benefit of a consistent Ethernet-based communication, which brings also benefits for security and also benefits for consistent Ethernet-based communication. But going to the next application.
Yeah, it's renewable energy. And this is only one example here of a container for battery storage or energy storage with battery modules. And these energy storage systems require fast transmission of cell voltage, of temperature, and also, of course, of the status of the charge. And with single-pair Ethernet, it's possible to realize the communication from each module to another, and also the communication from the modules to the battery management system called BMS. And after the BMS, you need the Ethernet transmission to communicate with the whole infrastructure there, and that is always Ethernet-based. And within the communication between the battery modules, there often the standard ISO SPI is used. And therefore, you can also use single-pair Ethernet to realize these daisy chain communication between the different battery modules. And there we have also a product based on a single pair Ethernet connector here, which is used in a battery management system here in a rectangular way with a locking mechanism and IP protection for single pair Ethernet connectors. And there, of course, you also, we use the 10 megabit per second standard for the multi-drop communication, and single pair Ethernet closes the gap between the communication between the different battery modules and the communication to the infrastructure, which is already realized via Ethernet.
And last but not least, we have also a use case in agriculture. So also in agriculture, single pair Ethernet is already used. And it's called a high-speed Isobus, and it's the successor of the classical Isobus system. And single pair Ethernet is used for camera systems, for smart sensors, and also the high data rates which are needed with the modern camera systems that you can use on tractors. Therefore, single pair Ethernet is perfectly fitted. So it comes into play the 100 megabit standard and also the 1 gigabit standard, which is going up to 40-meter length and which is completely sufficient for most of the agriculture applications.
Yeah, but for factory automation last year on the SPS, I remember there was a special thing happened, right?
There was a special thing happened, but we're coming first to the portfolio that we already have.
Yes, I'm sorry. As for all these use cases, as we already mentioned, we have an existing portfolio here. It's standardized for the IEC standard 63171-2 and -5. You see here on the picture we have IP20 connectors for field assembly, device connectivity. We have also M8 connectors and M12 connectors for flying cable-to-cable connection, for example, and we have also the M12 hybrid connector here. This is an existing portfolio which can be used in all these applications that we have already seen. But now we are coming to the new standard.
The real new part, yeah.
So Tim, what it is about regarding the new mating phase of single pair Ethernet?
Yeah, so as Verena mentioned, last year on the SPS trade show, we had this really big press release with the official statement that single pair Ethernet has a new phase, and we, as Phoenix Contact, are driving this standard actively forward. But what does it mean? So you can see it on the screen. This is the data container here on the right side for the single pair Ethernet mating phase, based all on the IEC 63171-7. So this is the hybrid connector, which I already mentioned for factory automation use. And this was the basis for the new unified interface for single pair Ethernet. So, and now coming from the hybrid connector, we have also an IP20 version, we have an M8 and M12. And the special thing about it is, as you can see, it's the same interface, but you have some different type of coding. And this is also shown here on the screen. So you have different codings for M8, for M12, and also for IP20. And in the standards, there are several codings integrated. For factory automation, and especially for Profinet, the coding type number 1 is used and set. So this will be the type which will be used for Profinet applications in the future. As mentioned, there are also different codings within this standard, where you can cover up different applications, for example, different use cases, and also different SPE standards, which are not compatible to each other. And if we now take a look on the future portfolio of this new universal interface, there you can see that we will offer mostly those products that we already have with our one-pair portfolio. We will also have the IP20 version, we will have an M8 connector, M12, and the M12 hybrid connector, the connector that I've already shown here. This is still available, currently available. All of the other products will follow. The reason why there are not, we have not completely products or finalized products this year at the SPS show is based on the standardization situation. And if we take a look on the standardization, we are currently in the phase that we have this first CD status now on the SPS, and we are in the commenting phase, so all of the members of the IEC have the possibility to comment on the standards. And we expect the CDV, which means Committee Draft for Vote, which is quite finalized standard version, in May next year. This will be the point where we have the possibility to go really into the tooling and in the productization. And our goal is now on the SPS this year, we have first prototypes here on our desk, which we can show you here. And for next year, we want to have the portfolio availability of the new connector interface with the IP20 version and also with the M12 version. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think we're coming to the end of our live session here. If you are interested in the topic of Single Pair Ethernet in general, if you need some more information regarding the different standards of the IEEE or of the different connector standards, scan the QR code. There you have the chance to get this information on our website. There is a webinar online which you can download and where you can get the information of all these different things. If you are interested here on the exhibition, then take the possibility to visit us at our Action Center for Single Pair Ethernet. We will show you a demonstration with a switch and some sensors, and where we can show you more. And if you are interested also not only in connectors or switches, then use the possibility here to visit us in Nuremberg in Hall 5, where we have a booth of the SPE System Alliance, which is an open association of more than 100 leading technology factories, and where you have the possibility to get more information here in Nuremberg about Single Pair Ethernet and about the whole ecosystem. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.